Dale Earnhardt Sr. wasn't just a driver, he was the driver. With his black number 3 Chevrolet, a permanent scowl under those iconic sunglasses, and a racing style that bordered on ruthless, he earned the nickname the Intimidator. Over a career spanning decades, he racked up 76 career wins and 7 Winston Cup championships. But there was one track that seemed to haunt him as much as it honored him: Daytona International Speedway. He had dominated almost everywhere else, but the Daytona 500, the sport's most prestigious race, had eluded him until that magical victory in 1998. By 2001, Dale was no longer chasing personal glory. He had nothing left to prove. His name was already etched into NASCAR immortality. But as he returned to Daytona for what would unknowingly be his final race, he wasn't there as the lone wolf anymore. He was there as a mentor, a team owner, and most importantly, a father. That year, Dale Earnhardt, Inc. had 3 cars in the race: Michael Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Dale himself. For the first time, he wasn't just racing for himself. He was racing with and for the people he loved. This wasn't about a win on paper. It was about cementing a future for his team and for his son. The morning of February 18, 2001, Daytona buzzed with energy. Fans packed the grandstands in anticipation. But for those close to Dale, something felt different. He wasn't his usual self. Not tense, but quieter. More observant. Reflective. This wasn't the fierce gladiator pacing before a battle. This was a man who looked like he was watching the world with new eyes, soaking it in, one final time. Some would later say it was just pre-race nerves. Others weren't so sure. Because Dale Earnhardt Sr., a man known for his fearlessness, seemed, for the first time, like someone who knew what was coming and was ready to face it. Race day mornings are always electric. Mechanics tighten bolts with surgical precision. Crew chiefs check and recheck data. Drivers stretch, hydrate, focus. But on February 18, 2001, in the Dale Earnhardt Sr. garage, the mood wasn't just business, it was eerie. Multiple crew members would later describe the same thing. Dale was quiet, not silent, not somber, just off. He wasn't pacing. He wasn't barking orders or cracking jokes. He simply stood near the number, 3 car, staring at it. Some said he looked nostalgic, even reverent, like a man looking not at a machine, but a memory. A longtime crew member approached and said, "You good, boss?" Dale just nodded. Then, almost under his breath, he replied, "Just got a weird feeling today, that's all." It wasn't fear, it wasn't superstition. It was something heavier, like his body was moving through the motions of a day he didn't fully understand. His pit crew, though laser-focused on setup and strategy, couldn't ignore the vibe. It lingered like a storm on the horizon, silent but looming. Even Teresa Earnhardt noticed something. She later admitted in an interview that he seemed distant and that he had hugged her tighter than usual that morning before heading to the car. There was no thunder, no dramatic foreshadowing, just a feeling in the air, a subtle unease that, in hindsight, felt like a whisper from fate. Pit road is typically all tension and chatter, but just before the engines roared to life, Dale Earnhardt did something no one expected. He pulled aside one of his closest friends, a man who had known him for decades. He leaned in and said, "If anything happens to me today, you take care of Teresa and the boys, all right?" The friend froze. Dale wasn't one to say things like that. Not on race day. Not ever. And certainly not with that kind of weight in his voice. Was it a joke? A moment of vulnerability? Or was it something else? The friend nodded, unsure how to respond. Dale gave a half smile. then walked off toward the car. He never brought it up again. That single sentence would echo louder than any engine by the day's end. By 2001, Dale Earnhardt wasn't just a driver. He was a team owner, mentor, and father figure. That Daytona 500 wasn't about him taking the checkered flag. It was about paving the way for his team. And that day, his eyes were on two cars. The number 15, driven by Michael Waltrip, and the number 8, piloted by his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Throughout the race, Dale played defense, blocking, maneuvering, running interference. He was the bodyguard in a black Chevrolet, doing everything he could to keep the challengers at bay. With just a few laps to go, Waltrip was in the lead, Jr. was second, and Dale Sr. was third. Exactly how he wanted it. He was driving like a man on a mission, one spotter recalled, not to win, but to protect. He wasn't chasing history. He was ensuring legacy. The white flag waved, one lap to go. A Daytona 500 trophy waited at the finish line, but Dale Earnhardt Sr. wasn't in position to claim it. He was in third, playing guardian to his son Dale Jr. in second, and Michael Waltrip, his DEI driver, leading the race. Coming into turns 1 and 2, the pack tightened. Earnhardt Jr. was hunting Waltrip for the win, and behind them, chaos brewed. Sterling Marlin's number 40 Dodge was gaining ground fast. As they roared down the backstretch, Earnhardt Sr. wasn't defending a position. He was defending the moment, holding the door closed on challengers, giving his team their best shot at glory. Entering turn 3, the tension peaked. Marlin edged low. Earnhardt dropped to block. Ken Schrader's car closed from behind. Then, in a blink, contact. Dale's number 3 Chevrolet twitched. The back end snapped. Schrader's car hooked into him. And just like that, the Intimidator was gone. At 180 miles per hour, his car veered sharply up the track and smashed nose first into the outside retaining wall at turn 4. The impact was jarring, sudden, without theatrics. No flames, no spin, just a sickening stop that silenced everything. The number 3 cars slid down the banking like a black flag falling in slow motion. And the crowd, roaring seconds earlier, went quiet. As Earnhardt's crumpled Chevrolet came to a halt in the infield grass, his team immediately radioed him. "Dale, you all right?" Silence. "Talk to us, buddy." Still nothing. In a sport where even minor contact prompts a driver to check in, this stillness was terrifying. His crew kept calling, voices rising in urgency, but there was no answer, no movement in the car, just the faint sound of static. One crew member looked at the pit box and muttered, "Something's wrong. Real wrong." Meanwhile, Schrader had scrambled out of his own car and rushed to Dale's driver's side window. What he saw made him recoil instantly. He waved frantically for help. Emergency teams arrived within seconds. They pried the roof open, knowing who was inside and what might already be gone. That black Chevrolet wasn't just silent, it felt hollow, like the spirit of NASCAR had left the building. The pit road, just minutes before bustling with excitement, now resembled a wake. As paramedics worked around the twisted number, 3 car, members of Dale's crew watched helplessly, arms crossed, lips tight, faces pale. The medical team worked quickly, but no one on pit road had any illusions. The body language said it all: grim, focused, rehearsed. This wasn't a routine response. This was a rescue effort clouded by dread. Inside the infield care center, Dale was given every possible chance. But by the time the chopper lifted off, the truth was already spreading through whispers. "He's gone." Some of the crew wouldn't accept it. "He's taken worse hits," one man said. "He's walked away from wrecks that should have killed him." But this wasn't just another crash. And deep down, everyone, especially those who remembered Dale's strange words that morning, felt the same thing. He knew. As the safety crews surrounded Dale's wrecked car, just a few hundred feet ahead, Michael Waltrip crossed the finish line. He had done it. After 462 starts without a win, he finally clinched his first NASCAR Cup Series victory. At Daytona, no less. The most prestigious race in the sport. It should have been the crowning moment of his career. But something was wrong. There was no celebration on the radio, no explosion of joy in the DEI pit box, no cheers, just a deafening silence. Michael rolled into victory lane with a puzzled look. Then confusion turned to concern. His team wasn't rushing toward him. No champagne, no elation, just long faces and distant eyes. "I didn't know what was going on," Waltrip later said. "I was happy for about 20 seconds. Then, everything changed." While cameras clicked and reporters hovered, someone finally told him Dale hadn't gotten out of the car. He didn't need to ask anything else. The look on their faces said it all. Michael Waltrip's greatest moment had become NASCAR's darkest hour. The man who gave him a shot, who had blocked and protected him all race long, was gone. "I wouldn't have won without him," Waltrip admitted, "but I would have given it up in a second to have him back." The winner's circle that day felt more like a funeral. News spread like wildfire. Within the hour, every major outlet had confirmed it. Dale Earnhardt Sr., the Intimidator, had died at Daytona. NASCAR fans were in disbelief. For so long, Dale had been invincible. He was the warrior who walked away from wrecks, laughed at danger, and stared down fear at 200 miles per hour. But not this time. Memorials sprang up across the country. Race shops flew flags at half-mast. Fans left flowers, number 3 hats, and handwritten notes outside tracks. One sign read, "Legends don't die. They just take the high line." But the most haunting moment? When those closest to him remembered his words from before the race. "Take care of Teresa and the boys." Had he known? Or had something deep inside, some instinct earned from decades of defying death, told him this was the end? Dale Earnhardt Sr. had always been more than a driver. He was a force of nature, tough, magnetic, mysterious. And maybe, in his final hours, he felt what the rest of us couldn't. The signs were subtle. His quiet demeanor, the final pit road whisper, the way he threw himself into protecting others on the track. Was it fate? Coincidence? Or something deeper? Some say racers can feel the end coming. They know the risks. They just don't always talk about it. Dale did. He left a message. One last moment of honesty from a man known more for grit than grief. Today, his number. 3 car sits still, untouched. But his legacy roars louder than ever. Because Dale didn't just go out a champion. He went out doing what he loved, protecting the next generation. And maybe, just maybe, he did know.